Hello, my wonderful YouTube friends. How are we doing? It's been a little while since I've done a YouTube exclusive cast. Main reason for that is we had a lot of great VODs from the China Team Championship, and some of those were really long, so I even split them into multiple parts. So we've just been uploading all sorts of other stuff lately, and after that I was preparing to go to BlizzCon, which is where I'll be right now by the time you're watching this video, by the time this goes live on YouTube. So I didn't really have much time to prepare a lot of YouTube exclusives. Obviously very busy getting stuff sorted to go away for 10 days because I'm going to BlizzCon and staying in America for a few days as a bit of a vacation. But I figured I would cast this series from replays because it was a pretty great one that I could get my hands on, and I figured it would make up a little bit for not being here with the YouTube exclusives for the last little while. In the bottom right, our blue Terran player is INnoVation, and in the top left, our red Protoss player is Zest, and they're going to play a best of 9. This is from the Alpha Pro series, the Alpha X show matches that they do. And this is just a straight up best of 9 show match. Now, I don't know how long this series is. Last time I casted a best of 9, it was about 2 hours long. So, especially because I'm trying to make sure I have content most days for when I'm still away at BlizzCon, and obviously I won't be able to produce any extra content, we might split this video into 2. If it's super long games, maybe into 3. Probably into 2, but I'll just give you a bit of a heads up on that now, that we might cut out after game 4 or 5. It kind of depends what the score is, kind of depends how long the matches have been going on. I'm not 100% sure, I'm going to play it by ear, so let's see what happens in this TvP Best of 9. Just before we start, don't forget you can subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing. Don't forget to like and comment down below, and I'm very excited to get back from BlizzCon to produce even more YouTube content for you guys, because I don't know if you know, but usually in November and December we put it into overdrive when it comes to content production. We do a lot of good tournaments on the stream, and that productivity pushes me to do stuff everywhere. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff in November and in December. So make sure you keep your eyes out for all of that. So this best of 9, INnoVation and Zest, 2 players who did not make it to BlizzCon this year. We've seen a bit of Zest's PvT. You probably saw it in a couple of the YouTube videos that have gone up recently. He played against Clem in the WardiTV Invitational number 9. I'm not going to spoil too much or anything because I don't know when those videos actually went up in relation to this one. I haven't done the planning for when this one exactly will be released in relation to the others that are already uploading. So we've kind of seen a little bit of Zest lately, is just what I want to say. Now, that was with latency, playing on the NA server, etc. But he did typically stick to a lot of very gateway-heavy styles, no splash damage, but was happy to mix it up when things weren't working out and go in towards Robo Bays, Colossus openers, fast storm openers even, so gateway units into kind of a faster storm style. So Zest has shown us a lot of different ways to set up in PvT lately. It'll be interesting to see how he fares against INnoVation, who has really been a little bit under the radar. Yes, we saw him playing in some of the China Team Championship matches. If you were watching those on the YouTube or on the stream, you'll know that he played reasonably okay. Like, it wasn't an amazing performance from INnoVation. He definitely lost series he shouldn't have. We didn't really see any of his TvP there, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to think the last time I really saw INnoVation play TvP, and I can't really, at any real kind of point, recall. I'm going to do a cheeky check on my phone while we continue to watch this Reaper poke around. So yeah, it's really hard to know where INnoVation's TvP is at. In general, INnoVation has just been very quiet since essentially being eliminated from the BlizzCon race. He hasn't really done much recently. He's been just very quiet, hidden away, and he's played like a few online things. And obviously he played China Team Championship, but that was more or less about it. So, INnoVation. That's not what I wanted. There we go. I got into INnoVation's page finally. He's been playing the... Okay, he's been playing the BJ Destruction Team League a little bit, so there's been some matches from him there. But in general, yeah, he hasn't really played TvP very much at all as of late. The last time he really played TvP officially was the All-Stars match. Oh, that's true. We did see his TvP in the China Team Championship All-Stars against Parton. He won that 3-1. That was pretty convincing for the most part, in fairness. So, yeah, you know, in that regard, his TvP looked pretty good. Before that, it was actually even longer. We saw a little bit of him in Nation Wars, and then Super Tournament he got 1-2'd by Creator in the qualifiers. So, yeah, really not the kind of... There's not much to go on, really. There's like 2 series in the last 1 or 2 months of PvT from INnoVation, so it's So you see Double Forge dropping down. A quick recap of what's happening in this game. It's been pretty passive, just the Reaper coming along and getting picked off so far. A Raven was built pretty early from INnoVation. He went pretty early into all 3 barracks here, Stimpak and Combat Shields on the way out. Meanwhile, Zest went in towards a Twilight Opener with Blink. He's got a Robo up, and he's just been using that to, well, set up into now charge. And with the Double Forge, an extra game is coming down, 3rd base finished. Zest is absolutely in a position to just play that kind of heavier gateway style I was mentioning playing kind of recently as well. So we're setting up into this as these few Stalkers. Heading down on the bottom side, we do have a little bit, I mean a good chunk of bio here, really ready to respond to Stalkers that are pressing down this bottom corner. I mean, honestly, INnoVation has a lot of units here early on. It's just because of how fast he got the barracks. He didn't mess around with a factory and a Widow Mine drop early or anything like that, which means he's not put any pressure on the Protoss player. So while he does have a good amount of units, it's allowed Zest to get away with the faster 3rd Nexus. He hasn't had to pull probes at any point. He hasn't lost any workers. He's just INnoVation been building up here, and it looks like he's just going to open with the double drop up the right-hand side of the map. Raven is out, and that'll be something that will likely be used a little bit later on here. You expect that Raven to come out when you see kind of the players get into that stage where, you know, the Terran really wants to push in on 3 bases, or against 3 bases, maybe taking a 3rd behind it. That's typically going to be with these 2 Medivacs, this larger push. There's only a few Widow Mines with this. That's also something INnoVation skipped out on no siege tanks, so there's no kind of tank power to this kind of play at all either. As Zest with the Watchtower, we'll see the bio coming up the top. And INnoVation, you can see Zest, he's going to recall these Stalkers, maybe because he was afraid of the possibility of them getting caught out. This Adept is going to be forced to shade. Okay, it's going to cancel up shade. I feel he felt like INnoVation would have sent more units down here, but it seems like he'll just send 1 Marine to keep track of that. And as he sends 1 Marine to keep track of it, the rest of the army is going to make its way to the top side where it's going to go for this push. Remember, Raven is in tow, has 3 interference matrices available, could hit sentries in the Immortal. Oh, he's going to lose the Raven before he casts anything. Widow Mine's not burrowed up here right away either, and Zest really jumped on this opportunity and made something happen with it. Getting rid of the Raven like that is great, but now Zest is out of position for the drop into the main. In fact, he didn't realize it at all, so he stopped moving for a moment. Now Widow Mines will be in this main base as well, and they're going to help a lot against the Zealot front line. One upgrades may be done, but what does that matter if the Zealots are already dying off? That Widow Mine did do a bit of friendly fire. Stalkers have been doing a good job targeting Medivacs and Zest. Well, now he's going to have Marines and Marauders on the 3rd base too. He's warping in Zealots to begin dealing with that. Looks like INnoVation will kite away against it. This was an entire cleanup in the main apart from 1 low-health Medivac that has a little bit of bio left in it. It's the fact that INnoVation is still moving around with extra units here, trying to get more done. Units from the backside are actually going to grab this Immortal. Widow Mines are going to set up, so these Zealots are going to be in a very awkward position to get back into any sort of useful position alive. Man, there's just not enough bio to really keep doing much, though. These Medivacs are kind of stuck because of the Stalkers as well. INnoVation will just evacuate a few more Widow Mines, and looks as though he's going to pull away. 3rd Nexus dropping down, so he does have a plan beyond this, even adding on Liberators plus 1 armor, although no sign of an armory and a 2nd engineering bay. That's something which INnoVation would probably need very soon here if he really truly intends on making this a much longer game. Otherwise, Zest may be about to run away with this game number 1. You can see it down the ramp from Zest. We're going to be seeing 1 Widow Mine in the main. And just waiting for INnoVation to keep rallying up into the center. The problem is, as INnoVation is about to finish 1-1, no armory in sight, he has to do something aggressive soon. His upgrades are going to get so far behind. 2-2 against 1-1 is okay-ish, like we've seen Terrans fight behind from that position a lot. And he's going to have Liberators, etc. to power up the army. They don't care as much about upgrades. But you can't consider that after 2-2 finishes, Zest is going to go steamrolling into 3-3. He's going to chrono boost those forges. If you get to 3-3 and your 2-2 is still building as INnoVation, and if Protoss can find the fight, you're in trouble. Now, Zest dropping a Robobay in a 2nd facility means he wants to switch up probably into Colossus. He might add a couple of Disruptors and depending on how he wants to play this. That is actually a real possibility here. Maybe a couple Disruptors. Actually very good at zoning units away so you can then get underneath the Liberators and shoot them down. Of course, Zest doesn't know those Liberators yet. Colossus works well as a splash kind of damage as well. These units still here. The Liberator is going to come into the main as well. This Medivac in the top left has actually gone over to the natural. I was kind of expecting to come and join it with the main attack. Well, this main Nexus might go down because Zest really committed a lot of units down to try and deal with that drop. He's actually okay. He's going to lose a lot of his gateway power, so that's going to be INnoVation's initial target here. Rather than the Nexus, he's gotten 11 probes so far in this attack, and here we go. Zest blinking in. 1 Liberator remains. The first Liberator went pretty quickly. Now the 2nd Liberator goes down. The Widow Mine's cleaned out. Yeah, I feel for 11 probes this wasn't really worthwhile, because you've got to remember that's a lot of medevacts that went down. The 2 liberators are expensive as well. Now there's 4 liberators building at a time, so again, that idea of maybe getting up to a decent liberator count is there. But these are going to be liberators without liberator range. They're going to be very tough to really make work in all of this, I think. As you do have Zealots coming back up around into the center, some Stalkers blinking into the middle as well. And there's Bio Army falling down to the bottom side. There go our medevacs. They're going to be unloading over here. And again, Engineering Bay Armory continuing up in the natural as 3 bases. Looking good at the moment. Extended Thermalance still on the way. Extra Colossus popping out as Marauders coming in. Extra Libs. I mean, it's just the fact that these Colossus are coming into play now, and the Liberator count is okay. 6 is alright. Typically against Colossus, if you want to use Liberators, though, you're looking for like 8 and Liberator range, and that's the issue. No Liberator range really limits how much these Liberators can zone. And as INnoVation pushes to the top side of this map, he's just started 2-2 now. Zest didn't start 3-3. Imagine how far along he would have been if he just started that right away. Instead, he did focus on this Colossus production. Let's see how this goes. The Stalkers blink back, so the Liberators will do decent damage initially. The Zealots went charging in. Honestly, there's so many Marauders here. These Immortals are going to have a great time. The Liberators... the Liberators did a very good job of this, but the extra Stalker Warpers will be too much, right? And you can just see that Zest is going to clean this up. For whatever reason, just love this. The 4 Observers just chilling with that army at the end there, as that is going to be game number 1 going the way of Zest, picking up first game of this best of 9. Again, how often do we cast a best of 9? That really is a little bit crazy. Alright guys, well, we're going to jump straight into game number 2. I think a very well-played game from Zest initially. Good defense of the aggression. INnoVation was very committed to the attacks, you know, delaying upgrades, etc. In a way, I almost wonder why he even went for 2-2. I think he sort of started the Engineering Bay and the Armory, and then was like, wait, actually, I kind of need to all in. He was really kind of a bit here and there and just everywhere, trying to figure out what he was going to do. So that is going to be the end of game 1. Let's jump into game 2 and see if INnoVation can start putting himself on the scoreboard. You know, 1-0 down, best of 9. There's a long way to go. There's definitely some real possibility for INnoVation to find different ways. Okay, welcome to game number 2. Just want to say sorry if very quickly I recorded game number 1 on an old version of Expert that I used to edit VODs for certain reasons. And I forgot to change it for casting that first game, so there might have been a little bit of background noise, etc. that hasn't usually been there before. It was just for that first game. That should be gone now if it was there at all, so apologies for that. And let's dive on into game number 2. Disco Bloodbath for game number 2 here in the bottom right. A blue Terran who is down a game is INnoVation. At the top left-hand side, our red Protoss player from Ocean Gaming, Zest. Alright, so jumping into this game number 2, Zest's style worked pretty well in that first game. Good amount of units. That mass gateway style is very easy to defend across multiple bases because you have a lot of gates you can warp in with. You have a lot of units out in general compared to if you go like a Colossus opener. That's why you typically see the faster third base with this sort of, you know, heavy gateway kind of style, because if you go Colossus, you're going to be very stuck on kind of very low unit numbers, and you can only focus the Colossus in 1 or 2 places at once, at most. So, I wouldn't say INnoVation did an amazing job of like pulling Zest apart there either. There was a couple moments where he was running towards the third, etc., but it was mostly just a lack of units at that stage already. The problem was the first fight had to go a bit better for INnoVation. That Raven had to do a lot more. Even if it matrixes the Immortals right away, suddenly that's a lot of DPS of Zest's army taken away. Even better, an anti-armor missile on the Zealots means they get shredded so much faster, and you just break through that front line so much more easily, and then there's just less units in general for Zest to defend, and then it becomes tougher when INnoVation drops into the main, attacks the third base at the same time. Then maybe Zest can't hold on to that as easily, but great snipe from the Stalker is able to take down those, take down that singular Raven. And that's always a key part of TvP. The Raven in the New Balance patch, which is not what this is played on, but will be seeing a speed increase, which I can absolutely get behind. You know, the Raven with a speed upgrade, it's kind of crazy. Like, maybe it doesn't need to be that fast, but it is one of those units that's almost... It's so important to the army when you invest into one. And at the moment, the players, I guess Protoss players especially, which is where the Raven is really used, it's very easy to snipe that Raven down with Blink Stalkers. You really have to like super hardcore babysit it. So I don't mind the idea of getting a little bit of a speed boost. In a way, though, it might actually hurt as well. I think in the Balanced Test Mod invitation, I didn't upload many of those VODs to YouTube, but we saw the Raven introduced one time, and that speed boost, I actually saw the Raven shooting ahead of the army more so than usual, and it made it even more exposed. So it is quite interesting, that little combo, as we do have the Adept here going to pick off this Reaper. So Reaper goes down. 2 extra gates from Zest with the Robo already in play, so he's going to be going into 3-gate aggression. Warp Prism, Chrono Boosting out here as well, so getting that started as the 2 Adepts just out the front. There goes our starport in the main base. Widow Mine production continuing, so he wants to get a Medevac up here, I'd imagine, and drop those Widow Mines, but he is going to position the first Widow Mine quite aggressively to catch an early gateway unit crossing the map. What did INnoVation scout here? Because he has been up, he didn't see the tech structure early on. And that's because his Reaper got shut down kind of early by the Adepts, and this wall-off, etc. helps too. Here we go. I kind of like Zest taking the initiative here and getting control of the map, because this gateway and Cybercore are very exposed to pushes that come along this front area, because this is a map where not a lot of Pros players will always decide to wall off because of how exposed this gateway becomes. Wow, I even built the Dark Shrine on that corner, so he's trying to rush up into DTs here, Zest. Warp Prism down at the bottom, warps in extra units. Remember, 3 gateways is kind of aggressive. You see this Widow Mine, oh my god, loads up just as these units are coming in. And that's not a bad thing, actually, because the Widow Mines maybe could have been microed against by the Warp Prism. I think that's what he's going to go for here. Was a little bit late on one of them, lost an Adept, but otherwise, not bad at all. This Widow Mine actually didn't fire. Now we'll unburrow, reburrow. Marine count is just to push this back for the moment. INnoVation buying time for the bunker to come up. Going to be seeing those couple of Stalkers still firing. More Depths warped in here. They're the real tanky frontline units of this. Still a Widow Mine there in play, though, is just a little bit dangerous, and feels as though this is a defense here from INnoVation. So Zest's initial aggression doesn't do too much, but you know, it does keep INnoVation pinned back. It stops that Widow Mine drop coming across the map, which also stops scouting, which means that the Dark Shrine can come up without being seen, and hence, perhaps, he's so much more effective. Finally to the slide of the Natural, another Adept drops down here. Observer gets siege back up. Again, a little bit of extra vision. We do have our Adepts negotiating up in towards the main base, but they will not find much there. Raven on the way out again from INnoVation, so that's going to help a lot against these DTs. In fact, that might just be the defense he needs against the DTs. Now, the Raven can't be in 2 places at once. There is a scan available. Instantly scans to kill DT number 1. Siege tank takes some damage, but can be repaired. That Observer has to move out the way. And there's the Raven in the main, so yeah, this is a perfect defense from INnoVation. It's going to completely shut down this DT play, although that's a nice save from Zest to escape with the DT. Obviously means now you can morph in an Archon. Charge on the way, I actually wouldn't be too surprised if, yeah, he just goes on 2 bases and just says, cool, Archon charge block all in here. Because it is kind of an aggressive style he's played already. And you can just see, you know, charge right away as well. Third Nexus wasn't quite built already. It kind of makes sense. He's even added on a 7th gateway. So that's, what, 10 gateways in total? 10 gates on 2 bases is ridiculous, by the way. You can't actually sustain that. That's actually unheard of. So I don't know why he wants 10 gateways. That's just, you know, there's a reason you go for 8 gateways. It's not like he doesn't have tech, right? He's going to be building DTs. Like, if it was like 10 gates and just Zealots, I would maybe be like, okay, maybe. But like, 10 gates and he's building an Immortal and he's getting... I mean, I don't understand the Immortal in the slightest sense. Because it feels like as soon as charge finishes, you kind of want to go with these DTs as Archons, push up this ramp and try and end this game. Zest is floating a bit of money at the moment. So I guess in that regard, the gateways might come into use. That's because his Prism's out on the map and he doesn't really want to warp in, you know, back at home, unless I guess he's going to get this Immortal across the map, so maybe he will just warp in back at home. No, he will warp in 4 more DTs, he's going to warp in a bunch more Zealots, and well, that's kind of the expectation, as we do see the 2 medevacs of INnoVation try and decide which way they want to go out. They actually very nicely have avoided vision of the Protoss player, the Adept shading forwards. Something that INnoVation could see, but the Adept shade range, vision range is so low that you couldn't actually see the medevacs. INnoVation dodged around that. I think that's why the medevacs were mostly trying to remaneuver around. I mean, a 3rd Nexus on the way up behind this, right? So that's the, okay, if I kill like 30, 40 workers, that's my sort of, I'll still be able to just probe up and kind of win the game from their move. But that's no intention of being used in the foreseeable future as INnoVation. He scans the 3rd, he sees how late it is. This is the first time INnoVation really sees, but he's pushing out. I mean, Archon and 2 Stalkers in May, I don't really know if that's the best set of units. He's going to have Zealots he can warp in here as well. A few units already coming in. A couple of mines will burrow up. The Zealots will get off. There's the drop in the main, killing probes already. The Archon took a lot of damage from those Widowmine shots, by the way. This is push up to the 3rd base. He's actually just going to recall into the main to fight this drop. INnoVation is going to get good Widowmine shots here to open this out, and I don't believe that INnoVation is aggressively pushing into 10 gates on 2 bases. I mean, yes, okay, there's a lot of damage being done across the map from INnoVation. Cancels his barracks, needs as much money as he can get right now after losing workers. This shouldn't work. INnoVation does have +1, sure, but this is the kind of the scenario where INnoVation should have been maybe a drop or 2 on the map, but playing defensively with everything else. Still can't clean this up here. Zest. Yes, well, let's see if Zest can clean this up himself. There's still that Raven in play, by the way. +1 does amazingly well against these Zealots, and actually, without the Zealots then, this Archon gets shut down by the Matrix, and that brings this out of play for a little while as well. More Zealots into the main, back on the other side. This INnoVation is going to start picking away at the natural expansion. Zest has to make a defense very soon, back at home. INnoVation will scan these 2 DTs, and he actually will get them. So DTs going down over here. Matrixes once again. Remember, the Raven's still up, so you can defend DTs aggressively. Because we're going to be seeing, or defensively, if they're holding defensively, you're going to defend him if he's being aggressive. INnoVation's just going to win this game. He just trades too well. I mean, that's kind of bonkers to me that Zest makes 10 gateways. And that's what I mean in terms of maybe Zest perhaps missing his timing. That's why it didn't make sense that he was building the Immortal, because you know, this is meant to be get up to the gateways as soon as charge finishes, you should go. And Zest didn't just go. He waited. And I guess that's kind of the effect of waiting. Even just a little bit. Suddenly INnoVation has this push across that does so well. I feel like Zest played this incorrectly to a very high magnitude. There was just not how you meant to play. It just didn't make sense. You know, nothing really added up together. Unless he really saw something that was like, oh no, actually I just want to try and take a 3rd and not commit. Like, I don't know. I mean, yes, Zest killed a lot across the map, but he just couldn't take the fight. Which, again, I find is so surprising. And maybe it's because he had too many units on the other side, not enough units at home to defend, and that mix-up, that matchup wasn't good for him. You know, maybe if he has more units at home to defend, he can deal with INnoVation's army much more easily, and at the same time still do reasonable damage across the map because he just leaves some Zealots or so. Maybe that would have been something to look at as well. One of those hard ones to call. Right, we're going to go into game number 3 then, and let's see what happens as we continue through this best. So we are 1-1 in this best of 9, and in the bottom right-hand corner of Thunderbird for map number 3, we do have INnoVation. Taking on the red Protoss on the top left-hand side, Zest for Motion Gaming. INnoVation, like I say, just... I mean, I already analysed the end of that game, or that game quite a lot at the end of the last one, so I won't go too further into this, just... It's still kind of amazed that it kind of happened, you know? I always feel like that's kind of... I always feel it's kind of amusing when you kind of see that going down. Alright, well, as you see a proxy barracks to start this one off, it gives us something to talk about this game right from the start. So, Zest will obviously miss this with the scout. The position of this will be designed to not be seen unless Zest purposely tries to scout for it. Barracks coming up to being about halfway done. Couple of refineries on the way up in the main base. Getting those going. And our probe of Zest just heading down to the lower right-hand side. So Zest on his way down to the bottom right. We'll get in toward the main base to scout. And we'll, of course, notice the lack of the production structure. No barracks. And that immediately gives Zest a little bit of an idea as to what might be going on here. Another SCV will finish up and Orbital will start to morph in. Reaper starts on the other side of the map, and it's probably just the Reaper as the proxy. This isn't really done as much as it used to be. There was kind of the proxy era of TvP where every game was a proxy Reaper opening. And what it does do is it kind of stops the Protoss player from coming across the map as quick with their first unit, so you can expand a bit more safely. It does delay your expand, yes, because you get the factory earlier too, but it also delays the Protoss expansion at times, depending on how they respond to this. It's just a different way to open up and put a bit of pressure on. Typically, if you get like a probe or so, or 2 probes, you're in a really, in a good spot as a Terran. If you don't get any workers, it's not the end of the world, because again, you only build 1 Reaper, this barracks is going to fly home. Yeah, okay, you lose barracks production and add-on production for a little while, but again, you delay the next stuff. The Protoss player, you kind of keep track of these units early, and INnoVation's actually trying to fight the Zealot. I really feel like that's a mistake, because what do you gain by killing the Zealot here? If you kill the Zealot when it's coming across the map to attack you, sure, but, you know, when are you ever going to be able to completely kill that Zealot before the rest of this is just figured out? I'm not 100% certain, so... Not convinced about that move. I really feel like that's the ideal time to go into the mineral line and to hit some probes, right? Get some probes low, even if they get microed back, it's workers that are not mining. And it's distractions, disruptions, you pop a Reaper grenade down, you can pop those workers into the air, then they're not mining for a little while longer as well. So I'm not 100% sure about hitting the Zealot, because, I mean, look at this. It's regained its shield, so what, you did 34 damage to a Zealot? You know, it's not really a game changer. Robo into the Twilight Council. The tech choices here from Zest. Now, INnoVation has the factory building a Cyclone, and he will build a CC pretty quickly, actually. So no Starport before the CC came up. Starport, he's got a lot of gas INnoVation. He's actually going to drop a second CC. This is very weird, because he actually has, you can see how much gas he has banked up, 250. You'd expect a Starport right now and going in towards some sort of Medivac or Liberate or even Viking, depending on what you think this might be from Zest. You know, Viking very good against Stargate openers. But to go into a third CC, I feel is really quite bonkers. Just because he is floating so much gas. I mean, here goes, you know, Siege Tank on the way now. There's still not a Starport start. He'll just add on a second barracks. If INnoVation gets away with this, then that's amazing, of course, because then he's going to be in a position where, boom, 3 command centers, you're in a very good spot, you've got a good economy, much earlier economy than the Protoss, but it looks as though Zest wants to go into a fast third Nexus as well, so it's not going to be too bad for Zest. He himself being a bit greedy here, not really going to fall too far behind against INnoVation. I mean, the best response here from Zest would even be to start double Forge and go into double upgrades, because that is going to be the response where, you know, what does INnoVation do about it? He's not going to have a strong army early. Yes, he will have Stim Pack and, you know, combat shields early with the extra fast barracks and a couple of tanks as well. But, especially on Thunderbird, it's not the best of maps for pushing on. I wouldn't mind a double Forge at all for Zest, as INnoVation will prepare just in case there is aggression. I mean, even if there's just 2 base play from INnoVation, that bunker goes such a long way to just stopping like a Stalker attack from doing too much, because it's so easy nowadays for Stalkers to show up just before units really start coming out of the barracks. Blinking, kill a tank, walk away, you lose like 1-2 Stalkers, but you shut down the tanks, which really opens up future attacks, and it really shuts down a lot of Terran aggression. Double Forge from Zest, that's exactly what I wanted to see here. Like I say, I feel like that's just the absolute perfect response to what INnoVation is playing. Zest has observers, but isn't sending them across the map, is instead just keeping them very well postured to kind of keep up map control and to watch for kind of units coming into his bases. So he's very afraid of drops. He's very safe right now, and that's just because he is being so greedy that he doesn't have like a ton of units, right? He's only just gone up to 5 Stalkers now, 5 minutes into the game. So he doesn't have a lot of units, and because of that, he just wanted to make sure he sees any potential area from it, from which he's going to be engaged just a little bit ahead of time. And as he gets Blink, he will move on to the map. Doesn't matter how many Stalkers you have. Typically with Blink, they're going to be safe, unless INnoVation does some kind of crazy like drop around flank maneuver to catch them as they blink backwards, kind of essentially into units basically. So Stalkers will continue down at the bottom right. We do have a bunker and a supply depot at the front. +1 armor on the way, a robo facility, and a robo bay will start from Zest in the natural expansion. So we're going to get that double robo up and running. Simulator here on the third base as well. Getting this, or even another simulator over on the right-hand side from Zest. Again, a lot of this setup. INnoVation going to salvage that bunker just as these Stalkers are here. I mean, 2 tanks on Siege actually could do pretty well as they press in. Nice blink back from Zest initially. A couple Marines go down. INnoVation is just going to be relocating the tanks to defend a more forward position, a position that can defend this third. Obviously, you have to be a bit over here as well, because while the main access point is this ramp, for Blink Stalkers, blinking over this little gap here is absolutely one way you can be aggressive and annoying at an early stage of the game. So INnoVation has to set up to deal with that. As Robo Bay finishes, and instantly Zest goes spots. Now this is super greedy. We talked in the earlier game, double Forge and a lot of gateways, it makes sense. You're kind of putting your tech into the upgrades and you're getting some very powerful and a lot of powerful units. That is not going to be the case here at all, right? Because here, you can already kind of see it setting up, right? You got Colossus still Chronobus now, double Forge as well. Where are the units? Well, they just don't exist. It's very greedy from Zest on a map where you can be very greedy, but in Thunderbird. So it's greed against greed, and we'll see who it plays out better for, basically, over time. I mean, typically this is a scenario where you kind of love it for the Protoss players, because it's everything they want. But with the recent enhanced shockwave upgrade being added to the game, giving Terrans a few more later game options in TvP, it does open those doors. It does open access to the Terran being able to, fight against this army, being able to trade out against it, and perhaps getting something done as 2-2 starts instantly from Zest. 2-2 also instantly from INnoVation. So the upgrades are there for INnoVation as well. And this is a real passive macro game we have going on here on Thunderbird. A little bit of this bio comes out the front and we'll be just going around the right side. The drops from INnoVation never really committed in anywhere. There wasn't really anywhere for them to go. Stalkers pulling forwards, they clean out the one Marine. It's the only map control INnoVation really had. He'll send another Marine over. I think he wants to keep an idea of... Okay, looks as though he's going to come into the center. I was thinking maybe send another one around here. Keep an idea of whether or not your opponent is going into that fourth Nexus. Just get a bit of a read on that. And there is the Ghost Academy, by the way, to get in towards Ghost CMPs and all of that good stuff. Just already taking down these rocks here. Perhaps going to get ready to push a little bit. Hallucination sees the setup from INnoVation back at home. It's actually not a bad time for Zest to push. Ghost Academy is only just finishing, so Ghosts aren't out. Vikings, well, he saw there was none at the moment, so he knows that, this anti-Colossus play from INnoVation is lacking, and there's 4 Colossus up. You need something here now. There's a lot of INnoVation's bio on the map, and that's the one thing Zest has probably been very careful of, wondering, well, where was the rest of the army if I only saw this much that was over here? But I just don't know what INnoVation does against 4 Colossus. Ghosts don't have enhanced shockwaves yet, so the EMPs aren't that effective. What, 4? He's going to have 2, 4... Okay, he's going to be on 6 Vikings soon. That's not really what you need. You want kind of... Well, against 4 Colossus, you kind of want to be on 12 Vikings already, so you can get towards one-shot territory. I mean, if you're talking about 6 Vikings, A, they're probably going to get shut down before they kill one Colossus, and B, your bio is going to die before Colossus dies as well. It's just not going to be enough. So I actually feel his attack from Zest might be somewhat unholdable for INnoVation. The one thing INnoVation has going for him is he's got essentially a flank on this army. He's going to be able to come in from 2 different sides, and that in itself could be very powerful. Coming in from the right and from the bottom side here. Here we go, the 6 Vikings, the 3 Ghosts. Zest will back away. He's cancelled the 4th phase, so he recognizes the danger. He knows there's something going on. Looks like he will go for this now. He's popped Guardian Shield, so he's going to come in. He blinks from the Stalkers towards the Marauders on the top side. The EMPs initially were good. The Stalkers very slow to pick their way through those Vikings just because they kind of blinked into Marauders, but so many Zealots. The Colossus damage is insane. Zest just pushes his way in for victory. I mean, it was the perfect response what he did against what INnoVation was doing. He was super greedy against a fairly greedy play of the Terran that didn't really apply any pressure at all. INnoVation's movement on the map didn't do anything either, just medevacs flying around, not achieving anything. So Zest is able to take this to a 2-1 lead with just a clean build or good decisions on how he decided to play this. Just well played by Zest, taking the lead of the series here once again. Let's jump into game number 4. Game number 4. And in the bottom right-hand side, our blue Terran player is INnoVation. Against the red Protoss on the top left-hand side, Zest. Game 4 of this best of 9. Just a reminder, if you're enjoying the games, do consider liking and commenting down below. Helps us get these videos out there to more people. And if you don't subscribe already, consider that as well. We broke the 7,500 subscriber mark, and our next goal really is 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So we're going to keep on pushing for that. So if you're not a sub already, consider helping us out. It does go a long way. 10,000 YouTube subs, it's been a long time since I've really set myself a goal, just to talk about not the game for a couple of moments here. You guys can hate on me in the comments for it, but when it comes to Twitch and stuff, it's been a long time since I've even had a goal on Twitch, right? Because I feel like I'm very happy with where my Twitch channel is at. Yes, it's nice if it gets bigger, but honestly, it does very well already, and I'm just happy about that. And on Twitch, follower numbers and stuff, they're nice and so, but I would never say I've looked towards them being a goal. But the YouTube is always something that never really kicked off massively, like the Twitch channel, and so it's always been a project for me. And to finally kind of find some momentum with it this year and to kind of make some real progress towards the goal of 10,000 subs, it really feels like it's been, a good little thing to focus on. Yes, we've had our ups and downs. We had an amazing start to the year with IEM Katowice qualifier VODs, and that really kickstarted the whole passion for YouTube again. And You know, then my mum had hospital issues, and she was in there for 2 months, which really slowed down a lot of the YouTube content. But overall, I'm really happy with what we've been able to do this year. And obviously, like I say, we always ramp up content production in November and December, so really excited to just bring you more. There's going to be great matches from the stream. We're going to do YouTube exclusives. It's going to be great. So, yeah, just want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting. It's great to keep on bringing you guys the games and, you know, onwards and upwards, basically. Let's see what we can do. I don't think we'll hit 10k subs by the end of this year. But maybe early 2019, maybe early 2020, maybe that's something we really can do. So, let me know. Hit us up and see what we can do. Right, let's talk about this game. Thank you for listening to me babble on a little bit. As we go into game number 4 of this best of 9, we do have the Reaper already dancing around a little bit at the front here. So, we're having a little bit of a dance. A grenade goes down, Adept is bopped. And for the moment, Reaper just going to be backing away, back down through the middle of the map. So, INnoVation not really, again, getting much scouting info. These consistent wall-offs against, you know, on the main bases, etc. Just keeping him out, but of course they come at a cost. Early game pushes from INnoVation can punish these positions and shoot down that Barrett, you know, gateway in the cybernetics core, etc. Robo facility in the Twilight Council. So Twilight first this time, and then into the Robo pretty soon after. Probably again just Blink is the expectation here, right? There's not really a lot else that you'd expect this to be. Blink makes a lot of sense. It's the one thing that really adds up. It gives you the map control. I mean, a Twilight Council opener that isn't Blink is almost, you know, you start looking at it like, is this all in? Because it does just get very aggressive in that regard, you know, with the charge or with the resonating glaives. You kind of have to do some damage, as we're going to be seeing Robo Facility about to finish up here. Some probes still mining away, and Adept and the Stalker having a bit of a wander around. Still, there comes our Cyclone about to finish up. Cyclone's going to be completing, and we do just have our Reaper continuing to move its way around the top side of the map. So Reaper around the top, going to be moving in from the right. We do see, aha, Mr. Automaton Bot, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, at least the Reaper's still alive, something INnoVation didn't do much in the previous games. This is aggressive from Zest. 3 extra gateways, which means he's on 4 gates in total, and that's absolutely kind of an aggressive setup here. Warp Prism as well. Hence probably the reason for the Robo so soon after the Twilight, because Zest really wants to kind of apply some, you know, damage with this. Now, INnoVation typically throughout this series, it was only the last game he went into a couple of tanks. So there's a lot of vulnerabilities for him here. He has a Cyclone, a bunker. You know, that's his real defensive setup. Stalkers blinking up into this main base have a lot of opportunity to cancel Stimpack, for example. The Raven defensively isn't great, because what can you do? You can buy essentially 10 seconds, a Matrix on a Prism, maybe an auto turret to help defend. Like, whatever you choose on the Raven is not like an, oh my god, what a play sort of thing. Like, unless you can like somehow stop the Prism warping in, maybe like, you know, it can be useful, but it's not going to be the all-out defense that you're looking for. Blink straight in, there goes the Cyclone, here go Marines. Raven is going to take some shots. The fact it doesn't get shot down is just bad target fire from Zest, honestly. There's more Marines coming in here. The SCV's pulled in as well, and Stalker's just pulling, should be just microing backwards, but they're actually losing quite a few Stalkers where he shouldn't be. Warp Prism Micro should have been able to be a little bit better than that, honestly. So Zest has lost, again, more Stalkers than he should have done as he kills 19 workers here. You see these Marines continue to chase forwards. These Stalkers super low now. Man, this was not kind of the Warp Prism control I would have expected to see from Zest. I know I've said that like 4 times, but in a fight like this kind of feels like it should be over. Instead, Zest, I mean, kills 22 workers. It's definitely a good position for him. His INnoVation is, well, not really in a really good spot at all, right? These units are going to jump back up into the main. This Marauder's going to go down. Few Marines from the right-hand side. I mean, it's not a lot of Stalkers left over. Once the Zealot goes down, the Stalkers start to drop pretty quickly. This was a little bit better Prism Micro towards the end here. 4 more SCVs killed then. In the end, he did kill the Raven as well, by the way, so that's nice. Stopping the Raven, getting a second cast off. I feel like the Raven should never be able to deal damage when you get into a position like this, right? Because it should never be, it should just get shut down so quickly, right? You've got Blink Stalkers in the main. How on earth are you meant to save that properly? Bunker at the front doesn't even get salvages. INnoVation. I mean, he does have Stimpack. He didn't get that cancelled. No combat shields, investing into concussive shells instead now. Get the slow on those Marauders. Plus one about to finish. INnoVation, I would say, has one real opportunity in this game, and that's to push, because Zest is still making like a lot of gateway units. So while this obviously looks great for Zest in terms of economy, his army is about to start trading much, much worse. Those Zealots don't have charge either, so they're actually really not that great. Sorks can still trade well, but INnoVation's doing the right thing, holding back, building Marauders, and sort of just letting Zest attack into him a little bit. Before I think just going into one big push, he is rebuilding SCVs. I'd be very surprised if he didn't just go across the map and really essentially all-in push. I mean, it's dangerous because of the Prism, but you're all in anyways. I mean, I wouldn't just be surprised. Pull the SCVs and try and end it. Hope that you've caught Zest maybe being just a little bit too aggro and not teching up himself a little bit. The Stalkers come in, they get a mule, which I actually didn't see how far along that mule was, but it's always nice to pick off a mule, obviously, as moving the Zards into the main. The Bio are very quick to respond to this, so INnoVation just splitting up for the moment and zoning on two different fronts. Oh, two more depots getting away from what could have been a supply block if he wasn't careful. I mean, combat shields is about to be done, right? So if he's going to push, he has to push now. The sooner he pushes, the better, because it's going to be before further upgrades come in from Zest. It's going to be before we see, extra tech units coming out, extra gates coming online. This is the time to go if INnoVation wants to go, but I feel like he's already going to be too late for charge. I feel like the real time for INnoVation to go would have been to kind of be fighting when combat shields is finishing. It looks like INnoVation is not going to go for it. He's just going to sit back and play defensive. Like I say, I mean, it felt like there was maybe opportunities, but it's so hard to know that as INnoVation, right? As the observer here, we get all the info, and we could see, oh, wow, what a great timing for him to maybe take a fight. Oh, he kills the Prism, mind you! Hey, that's not a bad start of this at all, as obviously he still does have the +1 attack upgrade advantage in this. He picks off the sentries. These Immortals obviously trying to, I mean, it's just you can't really get rid of the Immortals. They are just such powerful units here, and a lot of the reinforcements are turning out to be Marauders, which go down so quickly. Great micro on these two Marauders on the bottom side. Oh my god, that was so sick! That micro from INnoVation was impeccable. Wow. Oh my god. Oh my god, can we just get a quick rewind on this? I can't quite get over what we just watched. This fight is ridiculous. Oh my god. Is this far enough back? It's around about here, so just look what's happening in this moment, right? You've got a few Stalkers left, 2 Marauders top side, 2 Marauders on the left, 2 Marauders on the bottom. These Immortals, 3-shot Marauders. This Marauder, 2-shotable. This one, they're all 2-shotable, right? So all you need these Immortals to do is fire 6 shots. Or maybe that's still 3-shotable. Let's see, let's slow this right down, okay? So you see the Immortal, hits this Marauder here, this Marauder pulls out of range. The 2 Immortals now, fire. Okay, they're not 2-shotable, they're 3-shotable, but they just had the health to be 3-shotable. So he pulls these Marauders back as well, and because of that, these Medivacs on the top side heal these Marauders up, which have killed the Stalkers. So now these Immortals fire, but these Marauders come back in, and it's really that extra little bit of damage which helps. I mean, obviously killing the Prism is a huge play as well, but what a save on those 2 Marauders on the bottom side to only lose 1 Marauder from that point. That was so sick, and I guess Zest really is dead, just has no army supply, and wow, what a play by INnoVation. He ties this up 2-2. Tell you what, guys, with that tied up 2-2, what I am going to do is I'm going to say that this is the end of our first part of this series. Obviously, best of 9 is first of 5, so we're guaranteed 3 more games at least. So I'm going to call this the end of part 1, and obviously part 2 will go up tomorrow. So if you want to see more of INnoVation Zest, it will be uploaded tomorrow. I'm not going to put other videos up in between. It'll come up tomorrow. So look forward to that. INnoVation Zest here, best of 9 will continue game 5, 6, 7, 8, and potentially 9, of course, depending on how many games are needed in total to finish this series off. So that is Zest INnoVation. We'll continue tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And again, look forward to part 2 of this tomorrow. Thank you so much.